Hello and welcome to Calico Flower Studio. I'm Danny, and today I'm going to take you along for the ride as I make handmade paper at home from recycled pulp that just from all sorts of stuff. I actually use my handmade paper to make journals that I sell on my website, so check that out. And I also want to shout out that uh, after my last video, I finally reached 1,000 subscribers, which is pretty awesome, you know? It's just amazing that what I'm creating in this space is resonating with that many people. So if you're new here, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. And I hope that you enjoy the process and continue to enjoy the process with me. And leave a comment. Let me know what you think. I love hearing from you. So, anyway, let's dive right in and make some paper. So when I start to make paper, first I take the paper pulp that I made from shredding various paper that just comes into my life, you know, like newspapers and junk mail and flyers and things that my husband prints for his work and then doesn't need anymore, you know, just anything. Tissue paper, whatever. And I put it in a basin of water, and then I sprinkle in my funfetti, as Nick calls it, which is really just like pieces from my scraps bin that are super duper small, or that I take small-ish pieces and then I just cut them up even more with scissors to make them into little magical sprinkles. And I mix them into the pulp real good. I love this part because I feel like a little kid just kind of playing and splashing around in murky water. And then I lift the pulp using my paper making screen. And I let the water drain. So a lot of time spent just holding this screen and letting the water drip. It's definitely a practice in patience and gives me time to think and daydream, because it's very time consuming and relaxing. You can hear the sounds of my neighborhood. My husband's practicing drums right now, so that's what you can hear. Shake it out a little bit. So then once the water, a decent amount of water has drained out, I've opened the screen and folded out onto my rag, my piece of linen. Stare out the window a little bit while I sponge the excess water, and I squeeze it back into the bin so I don't lose all of my water. And then I can lift my piece of cloth and stack it in the pile. And then, of course, take breaks to kiss my cats. And then I just do that, 36 more times, maybe-ish. As much as I can get out of the pulp. Usually it's about 36. And then it's time to dry. So I've got this wire hung across our living room where I've started clothespinning the pieces of fabric with the pressed paper on it. And I didn't used to do this, but I realized it's a much more efficient way to dry rather than putting them on this metal rack that I have. I didn't realize that when it's wet, the pulp actually just sticks to the fabric and it dries so much faster. It's kind of fun, just hanging in the middle of my room. I have some extra pages this time that I've put on my old method of drying on this rack. They'll probably take a little bit longer to dry. That's okay. Now, once some of the pages have dried, I iron them out because you'll notice that they kind of wrinkle a little bit. They might have some creases in them, and I just want to make sure they're extra flat and smooth as they can be. And check out this ironing board that's just built into my apartment. How cool is that? Our apartment is like 100 years old, so it's got neat little things like that. So I spray the pages because sometimes that helps to get out some of the wrinkles, but not all of them really need that. Only some of them do. And then once they're completely ironed, it's just so satisfying to see them all stacked nice and flat. And those deckled edges, I love them so much. They're so special. So some of my pages are still drying. I've taken them from the metal rack to the little clothesline I made to help speed up the process. Now, they must be quality checked by Dahlia, of course, and then separated into stacks based on color and thickness and texture of the pages. And then once I've got them all combined in groups of 6 pages, I fold them. Now when I start binding the pages to make journals, I use this little pokey tool with a sharp end here. Makes it easier. It's nice that it has a handle. My first hole, I'm going to do 3 holes. So I start with one in the middle, which I just kind of eyeball where the middle is. And as I'm poking, I twist the needle so that I don't puncture and rip the paper too much. I make 2 more holes so that in total I have 3. Now the thread that I use to bind the pages is this waxed cotton cord, and I thread it through my big fat needle. And I start by feeding the needle and the thread through the middle hole, coming through the back of the book towards the inside. And then I go back out through one of the other holes, it doesn't matter which one. And then go back in where I came from the outside, into the middle hole. Pull it through. And then back out the other hole. Super simple bind. Nothing fancy here. But it works. It works great. Make sure it's a good tautness. That's the right word. And tie it off. And as I tie it, I try to make the knot right over the middle hole in the back. Just tie it twice. There you go. And then I cut the excess string, but I like to leave a little tail just because I think it's cute. Look at that cover. That's a pretty cool cover, huh? But the inside pages are just normal pages. I like to use mine to make art, but you can do whatever with them. Now, there's a whole other process for binding the small books. And I'm not going to show that on this video because it's such a long process. Maybe another day. But the idea is that there's a button on the front and a ribbon that wraps around the whole book. And then you just sort of wrap the ribbon around the button to hold it closed. And now, the next step here is printing and cutting all the labels that go on the books. So I cut large labels for the large books and small labels for the small books. And it is a whole process that takes time. And then finally, we take yarn and the labels and tie those to each book. So, let's recap. I shred the paper. I soak the paper. I blend the paper. I strain the paper with the screen. I press the water out of the paper. And then I dry the paper, I iron the paper, I organize and combine the paper, I fold the paper, I bind the paper, I print the labels, cut the labels, and then attach the labels to the product. So, I think you can probably tell that this is a process. It is quite a process. It's one that I really love doing. But because it is such a laborious process, I can only make small batches of these books, and based on what I want to do with my time moving forward as far as gaining traction in my art career, I probably won't be able to do this particular thing that often. So, the books that are available right now on my website, and some of the ones that aren't on my website that I'll probably sell at local markets, will be all that I will have available for a little while. Maybe in the future I'll make more. But if you want one of these books, be sure to snag it now, because, like I said, I make these in small batches from time to time. So I don't know when I will have a lot of inventory available again. But that, aside from all of that, I do want to say I really, truly believe that handmade paper is so magical. I love this. It is like a form of collage to me,
combining elements or repurposing elements to make something new. And with my little funfetti sprinkles, there's just, a bit of material there, a little fleck here, and the edges are soft and deckled and just so interesting and special. And if you do buy a journal, please, if you are comfortable sharing, let me know how you end up using it. I would really love to know. I know sometimes people buy the journals, and I've heard that they're hesitant to use them just because they're like works of art in themselves, and they don't want to corrupt it or something. But and I totally understand that, but I definitely advocate for just digging in and exploring the possibility of this unique surface that is just so rich and special. Well, that's it. That's my process for making paper. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions, and maybe want, about more detailed aspects of the process, feel free to leave a comment. I read every comment and I respond, as soon as I'm able to. So please feel free to ask any questions you have, and check out my website and see which journals are available in the shop. You'll see some of the ones from this video up there right now as of the posting of this video. So thank you again for joining me today, and I hope that you have a beautiful day. And please subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you next time.